I should say first, it was a journey to get to the point of using a matchmaker.
Mm,
I had to really break myself open to get to finding a partner and be ready before I hired or worked with a matchmaker.
yeah.
I tried everything. I dated all the wrong people. I ripped my heart open several times.
Ouch.
I gave it away.
Yeah.
And I was really starting to be afraid that, well, not afraid because I'm very happy with my life. And
Mhm.
but I was starting to accept that maybe I wouldn't find a partner.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Love, Loss, and Hallucinations, where we start with those three themes and see where the conversation takes us. On this week's episode, we are diving into dating apps and matchmakers and new love and marathon swimming, hallucinations that you might have while marathon swimming, as well as the need and importance of community and the ripple effect that can come from just treating each other with respect. So, without further ado, I'm really excited about my guest this week. A little local here, who I met a couple weeks ago through a previous guest, Tiffany Schlane. She was a couple episodes ago, definitely worth checking out that podcast. But my guest today is Melissa Blaustein. And Melissa serves as vice mayor of Sausalito and is the youngest person ever to hold the office of mayor in the city's history. I think at 34? Is that?
Yes.
35. Start at 35?
Yeah, 35.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's, yeah, get in there. She is a lifelong Marin County resident, and she is the founder of Allied for Startups, a global policy network dedicated to improving the environment for entrepreneurs worldwide. Her career in public policy and advocacy spans local, national, and international levels with roles at the White House, UN Women, and the Office of Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, among others. She's currently working on a memoir, and she serves on the board of the Jewish Community Federation and Endowment Fund and is an active advocate against anti-Semitism and hate. She is also happens to be a world record-holding long-distance open water swimmer. We're definitely going to get into that. Who has completed just the English Channel, big deal. But she grew up here in Mill Valley, and she also happens to be a fellow UC Berkeley grad. So
Bears.
Go Bears. Welcome to the show, Melissa.
It's so fun to be here.
Awesome for you to join me today, I guess, and us, the listeners, all of that sort
the
of
dog's
thing.
Downstairs.
Yeah. I guess I'll just start. I'm wondering, when, I met you at this dinner party at Tiffany Schlane's, and I was telling you my podcast came up, Love, Loss, Hallucinations. And is there, when you heard what the podcast was about, was there anything that first came to mind that you're like, oh, I want to talk about that, or, ooh, that's interesting, or?
Well, I feel it's interesting to make a connection between love, loss, and hallucination all in the same place. I think that there's a lot of a hero's journey story involving love and involving loss in your life, and along the path you're to hallucinate. So the fact that all of those topics are in one podcast was exciting for me. I'm happy to dive into any of them. I've been through I just got married at 37.
You are newlywed.
Yes.
37 in November of last year, right? Yeah.
We got October of last year.
October of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, yeah. And I happen to know from doing a little sleuthing online that you kind of, some people might consider you went a little old school in how that all came together. And I think you used a matchmaker. Is that right?
I did.
Wow.
I did.
Yeah. Please tell.
Well, so I should say first, it was a journey to get to the point of using a matchmaker. I had to really break myself open to get to finding a partner and be ready before I hired or worked with a matchmaker.
Yeah.
I tried everything. I dated all the wrong people. I ripped my heart open several times.
Ouch.
I gave it away.
Yeah.
And I was really starting to be afraid that, well, not afraid because I'm very happy with my life. And but I was starting to accept that maybe I wouldn't find a partner, and finding a partner was always something that I imagined sharing my life with another person. It's such an enriching thing that brings so much joy. And I have a lot of love to give, and I want to share that with someone else so badly. So before I hired Jackie, who went to UC Berkeley also.
Another
Matches
successful
Magic
by Jack. Is that what it's?
Yes, Matches by Jackie.
Okay, Matches by Jackie.
Another successful Cal Bear.
Okay.
I did this great book. Have you heard of Calling in the One?
I haven't.
It is.
No.
It is.
Do tell.
It's by a woman who actually just passed away on Monday, which is really
Oh,
sad.
wow.
Catherine Woodard Thomas. She also is the creator of Conscious Uncoupling. She's a
Okay.
very brilliant psychotherapist, and the book is, I think, 6 weeks to finding the love of your life. And it's every night you have a different chapter where you do a different work or,
Oh, wow.
journal. And I started it twice before I actually finished it, which is part of the book.
Yeah.
But just before I met my husband, Dave, I had finished it. And part of that is cleaning out your life and making space for your partner to come in. So it can be something as simple as like, do you have 2 nightstands or just one? Do you have 2 mugs or 3 mugs, or do you have a couple of mugs? Are you creating this like energetic space that's made for another person to be a part of it? And I really wasn't. So I emptied my apartment of 11 garbage bags of stuff that wasn't serving me anymore. I got my car cleaned, which is rare for me. And I just started to, and I did a lot of therapy, a lot of work on why am I always bringing in the wrong person? Why do I, and I could go into all of that, but I finally was like, okay, I'm so ready for a partner. I can do this. My person is out there. I ran into Jackie at a party. It was a Yom Kippur Break the Fast party. And she said, I'm a matchmaker now. And I was like, okay, let's do this.
I mean, it seems like serendipitous timing.
Yes, completely serendipitous timing. And I really, like, my faith is so important to me. And I really, in Judaism, we say that something is like your soulmate is beshert, which is fate. And I really believe deeply that Dave and I are divinely connected and that us finding each other was really part of a larger plan and that we have a purpose as a couple together. But so Jackie interviewed me, did a whole deep dive, and was like, okay, like, we're going to find you a person.
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks later, she called me and said, there's this guy. I think you should consider going out with him. He had been out with a lot of other girls.
Oh, that you know?
That I know.
Okay.
That I know.
Did you ask around?
No, because I did not want to do that on purpose. I really wanted to go into it with,
your own fresh slate. Smart.
Fresh slate.
Yeah.
And I was mayor when we went on our first date.
Okay.
And so, which, like, already as a, like, strong women out there, I know you know how I feel with this. That's already like really hard dating as the mayor, it's a lot. So I decided we should not meet in downtown Sausalito where everyone would be like, "Ooh, like,
what's up, Melissa?"
So we met under the bridge by Cavallo Point and did a dog walk with my dog Bowie, who is my best friend and now Dave's best friend. And I think he likes Dave better than me.
Uh-oh.
I know, it's not a problem, but like, it's part of the process.
Yeah.
And we did a hike and it was really easy right away. And yeah, we were married less than 2 years later.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So it sounded like through the book, you had to sort of preemptively let go of being single and what that might entail. Does that sound accurate?
That is so much of what the book forces you to do is to understand. I think what was really hard for me is accepting that it was okay to not be able to do everything by myself, and also accepting that maybe I did need this softness that I wasn't tapping into, this feeling of
your own softness.
Yes, my own softness, my own femininity, a space for where I could allow myself to be taken care of, because I had spent so much time. I'm a massive overachiever. And I had spent a lot of time just, taking up all of my space with achievement and convincing myself that I didn't require another person. And if I did, it would be more of a like nice thing to have. And so it was really a challenge to, and the book pushes you to look at, there are times when you're dating. I mean, I know you and Tiffany have been together for a long time, so you have a different path. But there are times when the person you're on a date with or in a relationship with is wrong. Like, that you can sense it in your deepest core, and yet you are still in that relationship. And that happened to me several times. And I think there was something in me that just was not ready to fully give my whole self to another person.
Yeah.
Because it's very scary.
It is very scary.
And if you know there's something wrong with the other person, then that can be what's wrong. It doesn't have to be you, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I know I'm choosing a person who's not 100% my person, so it's okay if this doesn't work. Or it's okay if, my heart gets broken. You need a space to push back and make it okay. And the process of that book, Calling in the One, asks you to let go of those things and think about where they come from. from a deeper place.
Yeah. And look at yourself. It
Yes.
sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah.
The book isn't about, I thought it was going to be like, write down all the qualities you want in a partner, which is also powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vision your mate.
For
I
sure.
think that's really important.
Yeah.
But it's much more like asks you questions about yourself and makes you go back in time and think about, well, what was it that triggered you when you were growing up that made you feel like you weren't deserving of something? And that really, and then when I got to meet Catherine, the author, and I was sobbing because I was so over. It was really, I mean, I never fangirl. I worked at the White House. I didn't like sob when I met Obama. I keep it together.
Yeah.
I lost it when I met her. I was just sobbing because the book had such an intense impact. And I met her before I met Dave, but I knew I was it was the same year that I met Dave.
Yeah.
And I knew I was on the precipice of something really big happening. And it was almost like seeing her, I could sense it.
Yeah.
And I blew it all up on her. I'm sorry. but I mean, it was.
Well, I mean, sure, that's a beautiful gift to her. I mean,
right.
And what a wonderful thing. And, even perhaps before you read that book, if you had met her, you wouldn't have sobbed.
That's
And,
right.
Allowing yourself to do that in front of a person is a big step towards vulnerability for sure. And I just have to, I mean, so much of what you're saying is resonating, even though, as you said, like Tiffany and my path is different and we've been together for 30 years. Like I'm certainly, as a triathlete, overachiever, goal-oriented, going, doing, and not in touch with like that inner Scott at all. And I happened to get married before, and people who've listened to this know this a little bit, before getting to that point of like really connecting with my inner self, my inner, I would say, feminine skills, some would say. And I mean, that almost led to us getting divorced. So it's as hard as it was, that breaking open you mentioned earlier. I think if you're wanting a fuller, more connected life with yourself and someone else, like eventually you have to break open in some way, shape, or form.
And it's so easy to fill the space with achievement.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's so easy to, instead of sit with how you're really feeling, like, why don't I feel fulfilled in my life at 30 if I've done all of these things? It's much easier to say, I'm going to now swim the English Channel. Because that's a lot more of something to focus on that's shiny and exciting that will fill that space. Or at least that was my journey. And I write about that in my book. It's just, I'm going to fill the space with achievement because I know I'll get a quick adrenaline. It doesn't solve the problem, but it almost takes you to a different place. Like you get to leave from your everyday.
Oh, you disassociate it for sure.
Completely.
Yeah.
Which is just, and it's like, it's almost like I've been saying, and this is in the book a lot also, like achievement's a drug in a way.
Yes.
Because you get to find an escape through a healthy activity.
Yeah. Oh, this is healthy.
Yes.
It's acceptable.
Exactly.
Everyone's like, that's amazing.
Exactly.
Kudos. Yeah. Yep.
And no one is questioning what are you really running from when you're running a quadruple dipsy or an Ironman world championship.
We're going to have to go on a book tour together.
I know,
because we're like, just, it's right there from the male perspective and the female perspective.
Exactly.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, just like when we started to like kind of fall apart, Tiffany and I, like what happened, I started to train more and more. I mean, there were weeks I was doing like 40 hours of exercise just to like totally like, I'm just going to do this and we're fine, and I don't have to deal with it. So, before we get to the swimming though, I'm interesting. Is there, you mentioned earlier the term breaking open, you had to break open. What did that look like for you? What did you have to like really connect with or heal?
I mean, I'd have to go really deep into all of the things that I had to heal because, and writing a memoir is a beautiful process.
And we don't want to like, upset it for the readers. So, we don't want to give too much away. Just little hints.
But I mean, I think I had to really spend time with my more broken inner child, which is a very cheesy thing to say, but there is so much that happens in our defining years of life that can be responsible for a bigger moment. I mean, the decision to swim the channel didn't start the year that I swam the channel. It probably started a few decades before, right? When I was, being bullied and feeling like I needed to do something to be different, to escape. And when I think about finding love and my partner and really breaking myself open, I had to be willing to look at the people I was choosing and understand, like, accept why I was selecting the same kinds of people. And it's a very hard conversation to have with yourself.
With yourself, yeah.
And that's why it's easier to distract yourself with goals, with continuing to do impressive things to fill the space. But I really took time to start to pause in moments instead of running from them. So I remember specifically the year that I was mayor, which was a very outwardly really exciting, impressive time for me. I was,
that was 2023.
2023. Yes. Um, and there was all this, exciting new events, opportunities to speak. I was traveling the world. I was meeting all the other big city mayors who were so, the mayors of Atlanta and Kansas City, who are great guys, by the way. Love them. Shout out to Quinn and Mayor Dickens.
There you go.
But I just kept questioning, like, am I doing this right? Am I getting this right? Do I deserve to be here? How did I end up in this room? And I remember specifically there was one day that I went to the beach below because at the time I was living on the water in Sausalito, and I walked down to the beach and I just like put my feet in the water and I put my head in my hands and I just started crying. I just like lost it crying. And I was like, I really need to take a moment here to understand what's going on. And a lot of what I did at that time also was, get more involved in my spirituality, my faith. I was spending mornings going on meditative walks, which really helped slow me down. I joined a Torah study group, which was really impactful. And I just found so much, in the Jewish faith, there's this idea of tikkun olam, which means repair the world. And I felt
need a lot of that right now.
And I felt so connected to that value in my path, and that really helped guide me a lot as well. And I think our matchmaker was Jewish, so a lot of this was like, I want a Jewish partner who can share the values, and finding the space for that softness and the achievement being about the values instead of being about, look what I did and now I get to do the next thing, is just it really helped open me up
the values behind it.
right.
And I certainly like something that stood out in what you just said to me as another athlete and achiever is the line when you're like, do I deserve this to be in the same room with these people?
Right.
Yeah. So yes.
All the time. Right? I mean, you have those moments all of the time.
Yep.
You just can't. And I think it's so interesting. The more you're in the room with those people, the more you realize they're having the exact same feelings.
Exact same.
I mean, the most impressive, highest achieving, incredible people I've ever met in the world are some of the most insecure.
Yeah.
And I think so much of that goes back to what's happened to us at an early age and what we are and aren't spending time looking at and thinking about.
Well, without naming names, we could name some really big names right now. We could. I think we all know what we're saying. Yeah.
But it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
That's what the driving force is for so many of these people. It's like, I just want to not be the girl that was disinvited from the party in 6th grade. Like, I want to be the cool person that's supposed to be in the room.
Right.
And I really, our shared friend, Tiffany Schlane, I remember she and I were going to the On Being gathering, which is where I met Krista Tippett, who was also at our amazing dinner.
She was, yes.
And I was like, Tiffany, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. I'm having imposter syndrome. And what did she say? She said something like, I have posture syndrome at all of these things. I posture in the room like I belong because I do. And I'm like, I need to do more of that.
There you go.
Be posturing, not imposturing.
Great words of wisdom, Tiffany.
Yeah, Tiffany. All the good stuff. Exactly. Go back and listen to her podcast episode.
Yeah. Please.
Yeah.
Well, and just one more thing about the matchmaking. Like, certainly, you're both Jewish and the matchmaker is Jewish. So in my head, of course, I'm like Fiddler on the Roof.
She is a yenta.
She is. Which, it's kind of old school in this day of like meeting on apps and all of that, which I can't imagine. Like, I'm thankful
so lucky you
I didn't have to go through that phase. So how does it compare? Like, because I'm assuming you did the app thing.
Oh, yeah.
How does like app versus matchmaker, like how does that jive or not jive, obviously?
So I think there was a time when the apps were really exciting and great, and that's not the time. Because I have a lot of friends who have met their husbands online, and I think that's amazing and a fabulous path. more and more, I think people are looking for real life experiences in meetings, especially as everything becomes so online. We just want a way to connect more wholly and
Authentically. Yeah.
and having a person who not only screens the other person for you, but provides feedback. I mean, after the date, she'll tell you what the other person said. So you're not in this black hole
Wow.
of, am I going to get ghosted? What did I do wrong? So you learn a lesson from the whole dating process. But what I will say about the apps that I think was important is I think it's important to send a sign to the universe that you are open and ready for a partner. I mean, I had to go on a lot of bad dates and I had a rule that I would give everyone, and this is like probably too nice, so I wouldn't recommend this to every listener, but I had a rule that I would give a guy 3 to 5 dates before I would just give up on them, because sometimes it's hard for someone to show themselves to you. Maybe they're nervous. And so like, I've really pushed that. I should not have some of these.
Yeah. I mean, how many times on the first date is your gut saying, no, this is not it? And then you still went.
A couple of times.
Wow.
But I, I think I was really trying to give people a chance and also to open myself up to this process of learning, because when you're dating, you're really interviewing the other person, right? As much as I spent too much time being like, does this person like me? And it's the other way around. You need to be thinking, do I like this person?
Yeah.
And are they a match for me? And the apps really helped me work on that and learn that. And I think the more you open yourself up to like, yeah, set me up with someone. Yeah, I'll have one app profile just to have for practice, or I'll go to this meetup. I mean, everything you're doing is sending a message, a clear message to the universe that you are open to having a partner.
Yeah.
And also talking about it outwardly, because I think it is so hard to date. And it is so hard. I mean, I like 37 getting married. I know it is extremely hard. I've done all of the things. I've had terrible, bad first dates. And it's so easy to say, dating is hard. I don't want to do this anymore. Or I'm tired of this, or I want to quit.
Yeah.
Or all men are terrible, or San Francisco's just tough for dating. It's like, yes, and you need to start talking to yourself out loud about what's possible, and instead say, I'm open to the possibility of finding a partner. I'm going to go to this event and just see what happens. I'm having a difficult time with this, but I know that my person exists.
Yeah.
I mean, like, self-talk is so important in getting you to where you need to be. And when I think about calling in the one and what that book shows you, it pushes you to not keep telling yourself that over and over again, because those are the roadblocks that are keeping you from meeting the person that's waiting for you.
Well, yeah. And also, like, as you said, like, all men are terrible. And like right now, that I could see that being a very easy story to tell yourself as a woman, because men are really shit in the bed at the moment, to put it bluntly. We can do better, guys. I mean, we can do better. I swear. Let's do it. Let's step up.
I mean, I have so many friends that have, and me too. We've all just had terrible stories from dating. I mean, the kinds of things where you're like, are you serious? Did that really have to happen?
Well, you've already mentioned a couple of things as a person who's like done the apps and done a matchmaker. Like, what would you have any other advice for anyone who's in a similar situation that you were in, a couple of years ago?
I think investing in yourself, which means you might have to pay for the matchmaker, but find a good one, is worth it. And spending time also investing in yourself in therapy, because you need to work on yourself to be ready for your partner. You're never going to be perfect. You can't be like, I'm still working. I mean, but you need to be demonstrating that you are taking steps to be ready to meet the person that's going to be the love of your life. And I also really believe in setups and introductions. I've set up a marriage and they're very happily married.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You have a fallback career.
Fallback career is the end. But I really get joy from connecting people just in love and otherwise. And so I think asking friends to set you up is really important. And also acknowledging that this takes a lot of courage. So giving yourself a real pat on the back. Because it's so much easier said than done to be like, I'm gonna hire a matchmaker, or I'm going to ask my friend to set me up. That's actually a really scary thing to do, because it's extremely vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so taking a moment.
And it's requiring someone else's help.
Right. Yeah. Which is also very hard. So giving yourself a moment of grace to just say, wow, that's really brave of me to go on this date. Like, this could be really scary, or it's really brave of me to decide to go on Raya for a week and see what happens, or, whatever. It's hard and it's scary. And the more you give yourself grace, the softer the process can become.
Great words. Definitely insightful from, well, as I have not been out there.
Yeah,
So I'm glad you're sharing that with
all of you who have it. Just don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up.
It can do not give up.
I think that'll be the title of the podcast. Do not give up.
My husband also did a lot of work on himself, a lot of work, and also worked with a matchmaker, and it did not come easily either. So I think there is room for conversation for men who are really seeking the right person as well. And it takes so much bravery for men in this world where it's okay and allowed for women to be soft, much like it's harder for women to be masculine, to do that and to say, I'm going to get a relationship coach, or I'm going to read How to Not Die Alone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think that's really important.
Well, and as I was doing research, I read somewhere that you also credit your husband, David, for helping you learn to communicate better.
Oh, so much.
And I'm just wondering if you might expand on that a little bit.
Dave is a much better communicator than I am in a relationship, where I have this habit, which I'm sure no one can relate to, where when something is really bothering you or you're upset, you decide to just, this is my husband always teases me because every day I'll be like, it's fine. It's fine.
Ooh,
it's fine.
The
it's
fine.
fine.
The it's fine.
It's fine line. And
it's never fine.
It's never fine. It's just never fine. Do you watch Nobody Wants This, the Netflix?
Yes. Yes.
There's a scene where the brothers are talking. He's like, she said it's fine. And he says, basically, I've been trained to know that if my wife says it's fine, I need to get to the bottom of exactly what's going on. So I tend to do that a lot. It's fine because I also try to project and find space for positivity. But he really pushes me to say, I know it's not fine. Let's talk about what's really going on. And it never gets to a place where we haven't talked about it and we yell, because he doesn't allow tension to build up in that way.
That is a huge skill.
It's so impressive. Like, he can sense when something's going on and he immediately calls it out in a really impressive way that I don't have the courage to do. Like, if I sense something's up with him, I'm just like, it's fine. I'm not as brave or courageous as he is about communication. And he approaches every conversation looking for a resolution, not looking for I was right and you were wrong.
That's the other key. That's also difficult.
It's extremely difficult because you want to prove your point.
Of course.
And I just think he's really taught me how to be much more of an effective communicator in a relationship. I used to wait a super long time. I'd let things build up and feel bad and feel bad and feel bad. And then out of the blue, I'd just be like, I'm not talking to him today. And let it build and not talk to them. And then it would be this huge, intense 3-hour deep conversation where we needed to talk about our relationship. Obviously that didn't work out, right? No. That is not the best approach to communication.
Well, it's like, it makes me think of like a major earthquake from all the tension building up versus a bunch of little ones along the way that like are much more bearable. And it's like getting past that little discomfort to just go ahead and have the conversation now. And like, I know when Tiffany says it's fine, which she's actually much better. She doesn't really say that anymore. But when she used to, I was like, okay, I'm just going to like note that and give her some time, give her some space. And then I'm going to bring it back up because I know it's not fine.
Another great thing he does, if we can't come to resolution, we also go to couples therapy. We have such a healthy relationship, but it's a great thing to have a mediator who can serve as a third party. So sometimes if we're arguing or we talk, like we're having a conversation, he'll go, okay, I'm just going to note that to talk about it with Abby in therapy, because that will be helpful for us. So
is that like a weekly thing you do, or you just kind of set up as needed?
I think it's like maybe every 6 weeks or, it's not weekly, but it's a healthy communication tool. And I think it's really important if you have the ability to talk to someone and to communicate together. And if you don't, like, for example, I'm aware that obviously therapy can be cost prohibitive for some people. But like Abby, my amazing couples therapist, has so many free resources. There are lots of great podcasts where you can spend time thinking about how can I be a better communicator. Maybe you in your relationship calendar a time once a month where you listen to a podcast together and talk about it and just see what comes up. I mean, there are different ways. The thing is like talking about how you're relating to each other.
Yeah. And I'd also throw in there, like, obviously people always want like the experienced long-term therapist, but really often it's just having the mediator. So, there's certainly like students who are getting their degrees that are they need people to train with that are
Right.
much cheaper and much more economical, whether that's a therapist or a coach or a psychologist or whatever.
Right,
So just
right. That's a
throwing
great
that out
resource.
there as
Yeah,
well.
that's a great
Yeah,
resource.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
You can't use your friends though.
no, there's
That's
some
a
bias.
no. Bias. It has to be an unbiased individual.
Yes, for sure.
Can you tell my dad's a psychiatrist? They're just coming out of it. Go to therapy, everyone. Get help.
Before we shift over to the marathon swimming part, which is very exciting, I just do want to quickly touch on, like, what is it, you're in politics, you're helping in the community, like, what is it about that whole process that you actually love? Because it sounds to me, I'm just like, oh, that sounds like just pulling my hair out sort of thing.
Well, what's really amazing about local government and why it's so important right now is you see the impact of it every day. And so at the city council level, we're deciding how do we want to treat each other as a community. And I'm actually in a position where I can create policy or make decisions that will make my community more welcoming in the face of what's happening in the world. And it's so rewarding when someone comes up to you and says, even something simple like the bike lane is so great for my kids walking to school. I just feel so fulfilled. Like, wow, that's a decision we made that's having impact. Or, I worked on making sure we included sustainability in our general plan and like, oh, that's a step I'm taking at the level I can to mitigate climate change in the bigger picture. Or, we're working on a sea level rise adaptation plan. Like these are tangible things I can see every day that my service is making an impact. And that's the thing that's most important for me is how can I do something, even if it's small. And I think even if you're not on city council, it's like, I really right now so much more than ever believe in the ripple effect and the power of just one good deed and how much it can make a difference in someone's life.
Whether that's from like just saying hi to a stranger on the street and giving a smile to like, helping at your school or whatever on a larger level. Yeah. The ripple effect is definitely real. And I feel like that's a lot of, I think a lot of the country, whichever side you're on has a helpless feeling right now. And it's really like remembering that and remembering those small moments do make a difference in the larger picture that we have with each other. And, because we are all one big community, we just got to remember that. So.
And also remembering, like, no matter how you grew up or what you believe in, people just want to be able to provide for their family, roof over their head, be safe, be healthy. And so at the core, we all have the same fundamental heart and goals, right? And so just looking for that in the other person.
Yeah.
I know it might be a little hard to do sometimes, right? It exists.
Yeah. And I think everyone, and let me know if this has been your experience as being on city council and mayor, like, I think most people like do want to help their neighbors and will immediately, like, I'll admit, like, I don't know my neighbors around here very well, but if one of them like needed to reach out or whatever, I'd be there in a heartbeat. It doesn't matter. And I think most humans are that way, even though we kind of put people in these silos. So has that been your experience?
I think that most people, absolutely. And that's also why local government is so powerful and fun, because it's neighbor to neighbor communication.
Yeah.
And you can always find a shared, we both love Sausalito so much, even if we maybe want different things for it. And I think, your neighbors, your constituents, or if you want to think bigger about the world as a whole, you can make that connection.
Yeah. It's so funny you use the word fun because in my head,
Sometimes.
in my head, I see city council meetings and I'm like, and the interesting people in audiences that sometimes come up. And I'm like, wow, is that fun? It's entertaining after the fact, perhaps.
I'm still waiting for Chad, the Stoke guys from Santa Monica who go to the city council meetings and talk about more Stoke. Like, this is a shout out. If you can do that council meeting, please come. I'd love for you to do your Stoke public comment thing.
I'm going to send this directly to them.
No, sometimes it's just, it can be very fun. And it can also be extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
Especially in the current political environment that we're operating in.
Yeah, and you're trying to meet so many people's expectations
and
desires.
One important lesson is that you're never going to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
It's just never going to happen. Even if it's a really great thing that 99% of people are thrilled about, there's always going to be someone who's not thrilled.
The neighbor it's happening right next to their house or whatever. Right. Yeah. Well, speaking of Sausalito and water and swimming and that sort of thing, let's kind of shift gears into your marathon swimming experiences. I happen to know that you weren't really an athlete for a long time, maybe like volleyball in high school, that sort of thing. But then like you just kind of out of the blue started doing marathon swimming at, I guess, 25-ish?
My first marathon swim was in 2016, so I would have been 37,
Wow.
28 when I did my first.
And you weren't a swimmer really before that, which is, as a triathlete, I had the good fortune of being a swimmer, and that was my background. So,
you would totally beat me in a race.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with him, but okay.
Yeah. But, most people coming into a triathlon, like swimming is the weakest leg.
Mm-hmm.
Swimming is the hardest thing to learn for sure. And so, and I know you kind of got a taste for it in a triathlon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, was that your first triathlon as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What was it about the swim that you're like, I don't like these other things, but this swim is where I'm at?
I hated everything else about the triathlon. I hate biking especially. I hate biking.
Really?
Sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know what it is. It's a cool sport in theory. Something about being in the elements of the water and feeling so one with the water was irreplaceable to me. And it goes back to the escapism maybe of getting away from something. You just feel like with your head down in the open ocean, there is nothing else you can think about.
Yeah.
You have to be in it.
It's very meditative.
It's extremely
in a way.
meditative and it's so empowering. And I wasn't fast, but there was something about being really wholly in the elements. And my whole life, when I look back, water has just been a huge theme. Like my parents live on the water. When I was little, I used to watch the water. There was this 1970s film called The Last Unicorn, which America does the soundtrack to. Highly recommend.
Yes.
Highly recommend. But there's a character, Lady Amalfia, who just watches the water. And my mom used to call me that because I would always go to the water and look. And it's just been a through line in my life in so many ways, and so to be in it so strongly was a really incredible feeling. And I was like, okay, I'm obviously not a great triathlete. And at that time, my boyfriend at the time was like very intense endurance athlete, 100-mile bike rides, Ironmans, etc.
Been there.
And he's the one who encouraged me to do the triathlon. And he was swimming from Alcatraz at this amazing magical place called the South End Rowing Club. And I went for the first time and I met Simon Dominguez and Kim Chambers. They both swam from the Farallones. Wow. And Kim Chambers was the most inspiring person for me in my journey. She did the Ocean 7. She did the Farallon swim.
How long is the Farallon swim?
Oh my God, 36 miles or something. Simon did it the opposite direction and got pulled about 2 miles from the island because of a shark.
Ow.
So, but he also swam the English Channel. So these crazy swimmers, they're all, come swim with us. And I had no context except my one triathlon. So I was like, sure, I'll come swim, as if that was like a skill that I had access to and I was on the level of these people. But they were the only swimmers I knew. And so that was all I knew, was that you just do these crazy wild swims. And so I just kind of like got exposed to it.
Wow.
And it just happened. I mean, and I remember very clearly the first time I did so you've been, if you're not familiar, San Francisco has this place called Aquatic Park Cove. It's where a lot of triathletes train. It's in front of Ghirardelli Square. It's an enclosed cove. And that's where the South End Rowing Club is and the Dolphin Club. And you can tell how I feel about the Dolphin.
A little under the breath there, Dolphin Club.
They're like our rivals. So you usually, if you're training, you swim around the coves. But if you're like really brave, or if you're a South Ender, you go outside of the cove regularly. You swim to Fort Mason or the other side.
Wow.
And I had never left the cove, and there was this swim. It was my first swim leaving the cove, and I didn't know that. Again, I had no idea that this was not a normal thing. There was a swim to Anita Rock, which is past. I think it's probably like a 4 mile. I don't know, 3 mile swim from the club out to Crissy Field, basically past Crissy Field to the bridge almost. There's this thing called Anita Rock. And I was like, sure, I could do that. Again, like I have no, and
nothing to base it on or comparison or.
My friends are all going to go do it.
Well, how long was that first triathlon swim for reference?
Oh my God, it was so short. It was a sprint try.
Oh, so it was like maybe a half mile.
Yeah. It was like maybe a half mile.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a sprint try. Yeah. And then
you got the bug.
Yeah, but I got the bug. So so I'm going to do this swim, and I freaked out getting in the water. And my friend Simon, the Farallon swimmer, is like, just swim. Like, you got to just put your head down. I couldn't put my head down. Just swim. Eventually, he swam me all the way to the opening, and he went with the pros. And I stayed back with this group of swimmers who I'm still friends with. And it was the most miraculous thing ever. We swam past the beautiful Palace of Fine Arts. You look up and you're like, it's the Palace of Fine. I mean, it's just, it was the whole experience being on the water. And then I came back to the club later. People were like, you just did an Anita Rock swim?
Just out of the blue?
You just did that swim. Like, that's like a long, people train. I was like, okay. I had no context.
Yeah.
And people, that swim, I got out at Anita Rock, but the rest of the group swam back against the current.
Yeah.
Back to the club. I was like, okay, I'm not that advanced yet. I'm gonna get out here.
Well, you've since gotten to that advanced,
sure.
certainly.
That's true.
And that is amazing because you went from like 2015, just beginning to swim, to I think it was 2017, 2 years later, that you did the straight
Juan de Fuca.
Oh, which is a 12-mile straight between Washington and Canada, right? And the water's a toasty 47, 48 degrees. You don't get to wear a wetsuit, and you were the first woman to swim it in like 30 years, right?
Yeah, that direction and that route, yes, in many years.
So why that swim?
So the summer before I did that swim, same overachieving endurance boyfriend was doing a sailboat race, the R2AK race. And we stopped in Port Townsend, and they were going to sail the strait, and they're all talking, there's a whole group of people, and they're all talking about how like dangerous sailing that strait is, and the strait, and the tides in Juan de Fuca. And at this time I had like just started swimming, and I was like, wonder if I could like swim that. And I wonder if anyone's ever swam it before.
Wow.
So I start doing research, and I find this marathon.
I love that
swimmer.
that's where your brain goes.
Oh, yeah. Automatically. So, and the water up there was so cold, but so beautiful, and the terrain is so wild. And so I found this marathon swimmer from the 1950s named Amy Highland, who was the first woman to swim the Strait of Juan de Fuca, but she also swam Catalina. She also swam Bremerton to Alki Beach in Washington. That swim is now called the Amy Highland Swim. So I started this project that I was calling at the time Chasing Amy, because I wanted to do Chasing Amy. I wanted to do all of her swims. Because I researched her like crazy, and I think she might have been like a spy or
what?
Her story was wild, and and I found I ended up talking to one of the descendants of a woman who used to swim with her and got all this. I mean, I was very into her story. She's beautiful, really cool. There were very few women that were doing this at that time.
Yeah, no doubt.
But the ones that were so incredible and exciting, and it was kind of a contest between them. There was a swimmer also from Canada, Marilyn Bell, and they both were racing to do the straight first. And I've talked to Marilyn Bell, who's amazing, still alive, still a great supporter of the marathon swimming community. So I knew it had been done, and I started doing all this research, and someone from my club had tried to do it the summer before and like ended up getting pulled because it was just too cold, the currents, but I was like, I'm gonna do this
damn thing.
Again, I had no context. Like, at this point I had swam Tahoe, and I was in the bay every day, and I loved it. And
yeah, you love the cold water.
I loved the cold water, and I didn't have and I started doing crazy stuff. Like I was living on a houseboat at this time, like in a dinky marina that I love in Sausalito. Actual boat, not one of those cool houseboats that like has a foundation. It was like a Gibson 27.
Oh, wow.
Floating, but it had been redone by my friend Kylie. Very cool houseboat called Whim. Her name was Whim. And I would jump off the boat into the water, and I would just not take hot showers. Like no hot shower for months. Training for this, and no like. Just I would get in and like do jumping jacks, and I would swim for hours and then no hot shower. People were like, "What?" And no sauna, because there's a sauna at my swim club. I should have probably significantly gained more weight, but again, I didn't really know I wasn't really doing lifting at the time, which is also so important.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a crazy, but I think like in my mind, I was so determined that I was going to do this. And when I look back on like, why was this so important for me? like, obviously I loved the swimming, but at the time I had also just gone through a devastating breakup with that boyfriend who had done the sail. And I think there was a piece of
Back to
me,
the love and loss.
right,
Yeah.
the love and loss and
Yeah.
achieving for love. And I think there was a piece of me that just wanted to like be so impressive and make a point.
Yes.
And it was so distracting from the feelings that I was actually dealing with of like losing this relationship that I had been in. And I think that really played a role.
Yeah. And bonus perk is you get to swim along for 7 hours and 41 minutes. And at times get to swim with humpback whale.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Am I right about that?
Orcas at the end.
Orcas at the end. Okay.
At the end of the swim. So this area, there's orcas up there. Also, it was so cold.
You like thought Sausalito was cold, but this was cold.
It was like mostly sub 50 degrees for most of the swim, and I had no wetsuit. And again, I mean, it was so cold.
Yeah.
And my hands had done what we call the claw. They were like clawing up, and I wasn't even.
Yeah, you get no paddle then.
Yeah, and my feet were basically numb, and we're like very close to the finish, and the captain's all frazzled, and I'm like, "What's going on?" And they're like, they want you to stop," and I'm like, "Why?" They're like, "There's orcas. There's a pod of orcas. Like, you need to get out of the water."
And you're like, "F no."
And I was like, "Okay," like I was so guys. I mean, I was so done at this point. Like, I was so cold. And the pilot had also done the swim. He was the first guy to do the swim in like 30 years. Okay. He had done it, and he could see how close I was to finishing. And he was like, "You're finishing this swim." He's like, "I don't care about the orcas. Like, they're over there. We'll get you out." And I remember being like, I looked at him and I go, "Andrew, I have to go to the hospital," because I was like so cold. And he goes, "If you can say hospital, you don't need a hospital. Keep swimming." And I was so close to the finish. Yeah. Probably less than 100 yards at that point.
Oh. But, yeah. Oh my God.
But I mean, I have stories of friends who were like almost at the end of the English Channel, less than that close, and didn't clear. And technically, if you don't clear the surface, it doesn't count. I mean, there's all these technical
your whole body has to get out. Yeah.
Well, there's like a there's your whole body has to be touching it's the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, even in that instance, you're in 100 yards from the finish and you're like, I have to go to the hospital. You think you have to go to the hospital, which is kind of its own sort of hallucination, as we might say.
It was totally a hallucination. That whole moment. Yes. That was a wild, actually now, yes, I think I was seeing all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're in the water up there, there's a lot of kelp. And I was so out of it that I was feeling like the kelp was a blanket and was wrapping myself in the kelp before I finished, like wrapping it around me. And my coach, Simon, who was doing an accompanying swim, was like, "What are you doing? Like, get out." And I was like, "It's warm."
It's warm. That little thin, like watery thing is keeping you warmer.
It felt like a blanket. I mean, it obviously wasn't keeping me warm, but at that time, I really felt like, a blanket.
So a blanket. That's amazing. I can see it in my imagination, and it's just Melissa wrapped in this green kelp, brownish kelp, and so certainly in these sorts of swims, and you did do the English Channel, which is 21 miles, and that was a 15-hour event of in the swim, so to speak. Certainly getting is there just kind of like getting into this from meditative to like wanting to wrap yourself in the kelp to other things? Is this sort of altered state kind of come and go, or you kind of just go in and things happen?
It totally comes and goes because when you're training with a boat next to you or a kayaker, you have a reason to snap out of it every 30 minutes, because every 30 minutes on these swims, they do what's called a feed, where they throw you some sort of fuel, because you have to keep fueling your body.
Soggy peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, soggy peanut butter and jelly. Maybe like I like a hot chocolate is one of my favorite go-tos. A goo packet, which I now can no longer eat because I have so much PTSD. Although they got me through a lot, so thank you. Watermelon salt flavored goo. But so someone is like kind of snapping you out of it, so you might be counting or singing to yourself. But when I had the most wild hallucination, I was training alone. So
Where was this?
This is an aquatic park.
Okay.
And so I mentioned there's the coves, and a circumnavigation, or like going around the cove, is like about a mile, a little bit less than a mile if you do what's called a tight cove. And so I had this goal of doing, I think, 15 or 20 coves. So that should take, it took me about 2.5 hours to do 5 coves, 5 hours to do 10 coves, 5 or
Wow.
6. So I was after 10 coves. I think I was going to 15 coves. And to be clear, these were like not tight coves, friends of aquatic birds. Just know that after the 8th cove, like,
you're not sure where the cove is.
People to know that like it was no longer like a tight cove, and like I was anyway. So I had been going for a super long time, and like part of the cove is you swim around the buoy line, and like there's lots of other swimmers, and I had been in the water probably for 5 hours at this point. And I like look over and I saw a swimmer and I'm like, oh my God, that's Michael Phelps. Like Michael Phelps is in the water. This is so exciting. Like I'm going to swim over to him. Like that's for sure Michael Phelps. I like really thought that there was this like amazing Olympian, because I had this also embarrassing, and I really hope Michael Phelps never listens to this, but he did this commercial before the Fuka swim, like 2017, where it was like, what happens in the dark is like what makes you. It was a very powerful Under Armour commercial.
What happens in the dark is what makes you who you are.
Yeah, light, whatever. So it was a very powerful Under Armour ad that I used to watch before all of my big swims.
Hey, Under Armour.
Yeah, I know, right? So I used to watch it before, and so I was very into like his vibe at that time. And I probably had watched it that morning knowing I was going to do these like 15 coves. And I really like was so sure I saw him. Like I was like, oh, that's for sure him. And I like swam kind of a little bit faster. And like, obviously it was just like a regular swimmer with like a buoy, and like not like maybe a triathlete, maybe someone who was good. But at that moment I was so sure, because like I needed some motivation to get to the next cove. And I wanted it to be that, because I wanted to feel cool. And I think sometimes your visions are like what you need at that time, and you're seeing what you think will help you get to where you need to go, which might be why this is what happened. I was super disappointed.
Did you like actually swim up to him and was like,
no, I actually swam over, like thinking like, oh, and I mean, maybe in my head, like he had been here that week or something. I mean, probably not true, but you're really not like after that many hours of, and then I have another friend who says when you swim Tahoe, he sees like Native Americans on the bottom of the lake. Like he's swimming and he looks down and sees them. And I'm like, I haven't. And he'll ask, like during my Tahoe swim, he asked me, he's like, do you see them yet?
Do you see? That's yours.
That's your hallucination. But we all have our own, maybe he feels so connected to nature in that moment that he's going back to the original, like the native home of the lake, and trying to respect that and the people who created the lake, or something. It takes you to wild places. And so I guess at that time I was really admiring the strength and endurance of this Olympic swimmer who just kept going.
And needing to channel that.
And so my brain took me there, because your mind is an incredibly powerful tool.
It is.
To do that.
It is. Well, that reminds me of, I mean, I know this isn't really your world at all, but in like the plant medicine circles, that one thing they say is like the medicine will give you, it won't give you what you want, it'll give you what you need. So there's a similarity there, and what the mind is doing, what your spirit is doing, and giving you what you need to see to kind of move forward, whether it's in swimming or in life. So yeah, amazing. Any other like memorable, I mean, English Channel, just one, we got to touch on it because it's such an iconic swim and event. And I mean, I feel honored to be sitting across from someone who's actually swam it, because I have not known anyone. So what is one favorite memory you love from that experience?
I mean, it was a really trying and challenging experience. So there's not a lot of very fun memories. It's like absolutely
ending.
It's absolutely a type 2 fun. It's absolutely a type 2 fun.
What does that mean, type 2
means,
fun?
Like, type 1 is when it's fun when you're doing it, and type 2 it's fun afterwards. All right. You tell someone about it. Like it's miserable in the moment, like a 100-mile run. That was type 2 fun. I think type 3 is even worse. There's like a layer of what they are. But if I could, I mean, some of the moments that were really special. So during the swim, my coach came, he flew in, Simon, the same guy that swam the Farallones, flew from San Francisco to come and be there. And I have really beautiful memories of when he jumped in and swam next to me, because you're allowed to have an accompaniment swimmer. That
can swim next to you, just can't touch you.
They can't touch you. So the channel rules are very specific. You can't wear a wetsuit, only cap and goggles, and I guess earplugs, but I don't wear earplugs. I don't know why. And you can't touch the boat at any time
Right.
ever, and you can't touch anything, any person. And you can't use any swim aids. So no fins, no buoys, no
Wow.
watches. You can't even use a watch to check your pace. But the one thing that you can really look forward to is every 30 minutes they throw you food,
Yeah.
or your friend gets in and swims with you. And Simon got in and swam with me so many times when I really, really needed it. And there's this really epic photo of us together where like we're both, it's like my stroke, his stroke. And I really remember how much it meant to me that he came, that he really believed in me, that he knew I could do it. And he kept saying,
chills.
yeah, he just kept saying encouraging things. Like every moment, there was a moment, maybe like 2 or 3 hours into the swim, when I was like, I just want to get out. I don't know why I'm doing this. And he was like, I know why you're doing it. Like, keep going. His whole idea, like there was no not finishing for him. And that made me believe that was just the way you get through it.
Yeah.
So.
Which kind of loops back to community and helping each other, and, the power that is in even that, whether it's a big swim or whatever.
There's so much power in community, and marathon swims like that do not happen alone. I mean, it takes not only the people who are on the boat with you, your coaches, the people you swim with, but the people in your network, like your parents, your friends, need to be so accepting of that this is going to be all consuming in your life, and need to show up and support you to make it at all possible.
Wow.
And the South End Rowing Club community, I've been a member for a decade, and that club has carried me through some of the most challenging, heartbreaking moments of my life. And the people there are so cool. I'm telling you, it's like the former fire chief of San Francisco, the head of the port of San Francisco, a county supervisor from San Francisco, and then like super badass CEOs, and then like firefighters, police officers, mailmen. Like it's just this space where we're all the same.
Yeah.
And it's so freeing. And
sounds like it's such a mutually supportive community versus like I'm faster than you and I'm gonna.
And that's why I like marathon swimming as a sport. I'm not fast. Like I've accepted that I'm not athletic,
even though you are a world record holder for the straight.
That's only because like people are crazy enough to do it. Like it
still counts. Still counts.
One fast swimmer decides to go do it as their training swim. In fact, my friend Andrew, who swam it last summer, intentionally was like, I'll do the other direction so I don't take the direction, basically. I'm like, thank you. I really appreciate that you went the other way. But I think there's just really, it's a really magical group of people.
That's beautiful.
And community is so important. It's so important. And especially in this day and age when we are really missing true connection, there's so much value in community and social capital and in building relationships.
Well, thank you for doing that for Sausalito and Marin and people in your world, really, because as you said, it all ripples out.
Ripple effect.
Yeah.
Water.
There we go.
I'm pretty consistent.
Rippling. As we get down the last couple minutes here, got a couple sort of speedish questions.
Ooh, I love speed round.
And
it's always fun.
I don't know. The first one, people are always like, "That's not a speed question," but it's fine.
Okay.
We'll ring it in.
Lightning round.
Yeah. So tell me something that has been in the last year or 2 or 3 or whatever that has been a hallucination, and as you know, I define that widely. Altered state could be from a swim or something that has taught you something.
A hallucination.
Something you thought might turn out one way, but you learned something else from it.
Like what I didn't expect. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So any sort of like one thing and then another.
Yeah.
Well, I think I really didn't expect my year as mayor to be what it was.
Okay.
Because I knew it would be hard, but it was incredibly transformative. And like the moment I told you about of being on the beach, to me, that was like a big learning moment of understanding and softening. And
so that happened while you were mayor.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't think that would have happened otherwise.
Is that just because there was a lot of pressure from being mayor and all these things happening?
It was a lot of things converging. It was like finding my faith at the same time.
Oh,
it was the pressure.
Okay.
It was the role itself. It was being in all of those rooms with all of those people and all of that energy that really brought that into light for me.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's a good one. Just breaking open.
Hallucination.
Yeah.
It's fine.
What you thought life was and you were supposed to be like versus where you needed to go. Yep. What is something you have lost in the last few years? Could be good or bad. That has also taught you something.
I mean, I think that I have lost the need to achieve for love, and it took me a really long time. And
High five on that.
And and now it's like coming from a different place, and that was a very long lesson. And you can really only learn it through experiencing it yourself. But I finally, like, for example, I can now go to my club and swim just to swim because I love swimming. And I don't have to do it because I'm training for the English Channel.
Yep.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And it feels so good. And I can, like, look at what I already did and be like, oh, my name's already on that plaque.
That's good. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. People are always like, are you going to do another triathlon? I'm like, no, I'm good. Yeah, I think I'm good. Never say never, but I don't think so.
How many times do you have to do it? I think people are asking from a place of connection and wanting to find a common ground with you and wanting to support your journey. But I don't think people realize in your career and in life when they say what's next, because they see so much potential in you, that it's actually kind of has a negative effect.
Yeah.
Because you don't get to sit.
Because then you're like, oh, I haven't done enough.
Yes.
They're asking what's next.
Yeah. They're like, oh, why aren't you doing Everest now? Like, okay, no.
We're good.
We're okay. We don't need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And last but not least, what are you loving right now?
I love being married. I'm so happy to be married. I love my husband so much.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I just feel so lucky every morning.
I can see you glowing, and I'm not just making this up. There's like suddenly this glow just went boom.
I just love it. So every morning I wake up and I'm so happy. I just look over at him and I'm like, oh, I found my person. And I could cry talking about it. So what
was that Jewish word for it?
Beshert.
Beshert.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, congratulations on that.
You.
Yay. Carry that out into the world.
I will.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome and so insightful on so many ways. So thank you for coming to my humble little studio.
I love your studio. This is way cooler than any other podcast studio.
Well, thank you. All right. Well, everyone, be on the lookout for Melissa in Sausalito and Marin on other. Who knows what you're up to?
Can I give my Instagram?
Yes, I was going to. That's where I was just going. Where can people find you?
Just Sausalito Melissa on Instagram.
Sausalito Melissa.
And on TikTok.
Okay. I will include that in the show notes as well.
Book coming soon.
What is that? Oh, book coming soon. Yeah. Do you have a title for it yet or tentative?
No, I'm working on that.
Yeah. That can take a while.
It's taking a long time.
Yeah, it took. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. Well, we'll have to have you back when the book comes out, and then we can really get into some of that juicy.
Then you'll get all the stories.
We got pretty good today.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Awesome.
Great. Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melissa. All right. Thanks again, Melissa. And on next week's episode, I have Marissa Rada Wepner joining me again. You may remember her from episode 8, but on this one is going to be very different as she is going to take me deep into a somatic therapy session that also blends intuitive visualization and shadow work. I can tell you it's intense, it's moving, it's quite the experience, and I can tell you this because I actually just recorded it before I recorded this. So, it's a ride. See you there.